What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the Daily Misfire. We're messing with the dually and kind of working on bugs and issues that we've had with the truck for the last probably a couple months at this point. And it's been sitting over here in the shop while I've been kind of going through them very slowly. I haven't had any video from then of like teardown, but we'll be doing video of like it going back together. And this will be an explanation of what all happened. So, firstly, why did I tear it all apart? Because you're like, it just drove to Darlington and back, and you've been driving it all the time, and why? Why would you do that? Well, the interesting thing is, it shouldn't have done any of that. So, let me show you. Bruh. If you look by the tire, you will see wires. And these wires are about the most disgusting wires I've ever seen in my entire life. These were on the starter. And there's a starter solenoid that's on the truck still. It needs to be removed. This is literally the whole reason why the truck is blown apart right now. So, it wasn't charging. The alternator stopped charging. So, my immediate thought was, that's a stock alternator. So, I'll just change the alternator and we'll probably be fine. So, change the alternator. That wasn't it. Started kind of messing with the wiring that's going to the alternator. That wasn't it. We were able to make it charge, but it was kind of a weird way of making it charge. And then, shocker, things like headlights stopped working, and we're like, well, why is the headlight stop working? That's weird. Pay no attention to that. That's EFI wiring. That's for the fuel pump. And I knew when we first got this truck, there is a solenoid that someone added on that's by the starter. It may be factory. I don't really know, but it looks like farmer wiring to it regardless. And that wiring is atrocious. So I started looking at that. Well, if you look, you'll see a spot. Let me see if I can get the camera to zoom on it. I don't know if it'll pick it up. There you go. You see the slightly torched area right there on the header? Yeah, there are wires sitting right there on that. So that was awesome. And that's where there's wires. So the wires are hanging on the manifold right there and completely torched them. And those wires were going to the starter and to the battery and a bunch of other places. And it's a miracle the truck didn't burn to the ground, if I'm being honest. Like, that should have totally burned the truck to the ground. Like, that not working, something should have shorted, you know, just catastrophic car explosion, just like in the movies, just But that didn't happen. So, I mean, with that being said, I know I needed to fix wiring that was down there anyway. Like, that solenoid sucks. I need to get rid of it. I'm probably going to put something over here, maybe something next to the FI Tech solenoid, something like right here. Do something like that. Get some of the AC wiring cleaned up, because all this wiring just is atrocious. And there were wires, like, I don't know if they're still over here. Yeah, like all of this. This is like for cruise control and some other random crap that was in the truck that doesn't need to be in it. So I just cut all that out. Cruise control's gone because we don't need the cruise control with the FI Tech. I'm not going to try to make that work. So that's one part of this whole thing, is clean up wiring. Check. Clean wiring up. Second thing is we're going to look at, you're like, why is the dash out of it? Well, the gauges don't really work. So a lot of the gauges don't necessarily work completely. That's why we have all these down here. And when we were going across country, we had to make something work. So that's why all those are down there. That way it was a guarantee those things worked. I'd like it to at least halfway work for a few of them. So I was going to clean things up. Plus, on top of that, this truck was from Nevada, and there was like completely, there's still like, yum, like cow. So like cow farm stuff in the gauges and just make it out and out dirty. So that was another part I just want to clean up, try to see if I can make things work. Then the heater's fan switch. Thirdly, the fan switch on this I figured out doesn't work. So there was kind of a weird thing with the fan. Like, if you turn it on high and then you moved everything over, the fan would sort of come on, and defroster wouldn't really work. There were some things that were kind of having issues with this. And I don't know if, like, the defroster worked, but it like just barely blew anything. And come to find out, this switch is bad. So we're going to replace that switch. That needs to go away. New switch is going to go in there. And then lastly, there was a leak over on that side. So let's walk over there and I'll show you what happened. Since we've really owned this truck, especially when we're in Tennessee because it rains a lot more here, there was a leak over here somewhere and it was like making the floor completely sopping wet in this truck. So I was trying to figure out where it was, and it's weird because the windshield has a total new seal in it. It's hard to tell, like it might be seeping a little bit right through there. It's really hard to tell. Have to kind of check that out and watch that. But when I've been pouring water onto the windshield and stuff, it wasn't leaking from there. There's actually, so between the cab and the fender, there's a spot right here that goes through for the kick panel vent right here. And the seal around the kick panel vent was totally gone. Like it was just trashed. I think I still have it sitting over here. But that was totally trashed. So I ended up using this. This stuff right here is it's literally from Walmart. And I use that to seal up around that. And since I put that in there, when I pour water into here, it stays dry down there. So that is a big win, because now I can put insulation and carpet back in the floor and it's not going to get sopping wet and create mold and rust and put holes in my floor, which is good. So that's kind of the first few things that we're going to mess with. And there's a hole right there I need to deal with on my dash pad because someone had that handy dandy like computer module controller thing in there and they completely just butchered this dash pad, which it's not a great dash pad to begin with, but I'm going to put a mat over it. And then I need a new one of these pieces right here. Because, of course, when I took it out, it broke the whole thing because they glued it in. So, yeah. Poor thing. There's the rest of it right there. Yeah. But, yeah, so we're going to be messing with wiring, getting the dash and everything back together. This is going to be a multi-day thing. I'm going to be ordering parts and doing stuff like that. It's going to be kind of a longer build video. But we're going to kind of mess with that stuff, get more wiring stuff cleaned up. And I'm going to show you how I do my wiring. I'm going to show you how kind of some of the tricks and stuff that I clean with. That way you can see what it looks like underneath the dash when I get it all nice and done and clean. And hopefully you'll go from seeing what the interior of this truck looks like and the engine bay looks like, where it looks, I don't know if I'd say it looks better than it did before, but it will look better. If no other reason, there won't be cruise control and stuff like in there, and we've saved weight, which means better mileage. It'll go faster, because we totally care about the dually going faster. But yeah, so we're going to mess with that stuff and go from there. So upon review of underneath the truck and looking at wiring that I already know I needed to fix, because they're still using the old relay, that thing, as part of the wiring harness, like distribution block or whatever for switch 12 volts. So we're gonna make that go away and put something up on the firewall or something. But upon further inspection, that probably shouldn't be laying on the manifold like that. Like all that wire just sitting there and making really nice green colors. That's really optimal for sure. I can imagine that works really well. And totally couldn't be one of my issues. Always something. Well, at least I found potentially a smoking gun. So, I'm no expert here, but I don't think that wire's supposed to look like that. Those were going to the starter, and they were trying to weld themselves to the manifold on the exhaust. And that's the rest of the wiring that was going down there. So, I was talking about replacing all this stuff, and it was definitely a good idea to do that. This is off of over there. But yeah, so there you go. I found your problem. Wiring's junk. Junk, junk, junk. Fire bad. Very bad. So definitely gonna fix that. So one of the first main things that I've done so far is I cut a lot of the wiring up on this side, and I've removed a lot of things. And it's funny because there's like wires that go literally nowhere, and like that used to be for the cruise control, I would assume, and like that's that thing right there. So that's for the hood, which I don't know why it's out in the middle of the world, but it's just kind of funny that it's like that. But like that right there, see all those wires? Like I'm gonna put those in loom and clean that up. I've been working on that on the side a lot. Like all that wire, like this stuff was just kind of bare laying on the side of the inner fender, which is rough. We're gonna ignore the power steering pulley being super rusty. It still works, so it's fine. But yeah, like all of that wiring stuff was just kind of like loosely in dried up black tape, like wrapped up. Like all this is just completely utter just junk, and it looked terrible. So you'll see more of the wires and stuff like that right here, which these are all the wires that I actually cut from the bottom. You can see them right there. Those are all the ones I actually cut that were going down the starter. So I gotta identify which ones are which that go to the starter, because I know one of them is probably 12 volts. You know, there's start, there's run, and all those certain things that go there. So I gotta identify all of those and see which one goes where and what they do. Then we'll rewire them down there. If there's one that needs to not go up down there, I will absolutely do that, and it'll go over here. More than likely by the battery with another like outlet right there. Something similar to that, but it'll be nicer. I may get rid of that, we'll see. I don't need that, and I don't like the way those look. This is gonna go back and loom along the side. I'm gonna fix this kind of stuff. This is gonna get hidden away. If we ever go back to stock style AC, I'll like rewire this kind of stuff. That way I'm not gonna like totally cut it out of the car, but it'll definitely have a connector. That way that's not just a wire sitting out in the middle of the world and, you know, potential for another issue that we have down the road. So I'm gonna fix that. Do basically what I did on here, because there's some wires that were like that on here. So all I do is I put connectors on the end of them, and I basically put tape on the end of it. That way it's sealed. So there's no water, no chance of it basically getting wet or anything. So we'll do the same thing on this side. Get all that nice and cleaned up. I'm not going to run any of the wiper, washer stuff anymore. Just don't need it. It'll clean up the engine bay a little bit better. We'll just kind of do some of those kind of things. Genius. Magic little box right here. 10 miles a gallon on a big block towing a trailer. That's awesome. Anyway, yeah, we'll probably start messing with the loom and getting that all kind of wired up and in. I already got I took that off the fan out of the truck already, kind of messed with it, trying to make sure it was okay and everything was good with it. And it's working the way it should, so it means the switch was bad and just junk. And I'm going to make this wiring look all nice and clean again. Yeah, go from there. Alrighty, so we are working through everything. I got pretty much the entire HVAC, I guess you can call it, system kind of cleaned up, and I think it's good enough to probably leave it alone. Now I'm going to run some loom and stuff across the engine, where the engine actually sits, and that'll be trying to clean up the power wire for that, just so it's not a bare wire running across the top of the engine bay. And then I've located, and I think I have pretty much all the wires I need to like locate for the starter. So I'll start making splicing connectors and then like lengthening them out so that they can go down to the starter. And I think we kind of have that figured out as far as what everything was doing. I know there was one wire that was connected to the alternator, and that was going down there. That was from the bulkhead fitting that's on the side of the firewall. So we'll kind of go through that kind of thing and get all that nice and loomed up. We'll send that back down through the tube, but I'll show you guys later at some point, the tube that goes down to the starter when we start wiring that. But yeah, so we got that loomed up, I think, pretty nicely. I've gotten, I'll show you guys here in a second, but we got so we got that nicely loomed up and everything, and I'll show you guys some kind of cool things I did. So we got just loom, which this is just like Summit wire loom that you can buy. I bought more for the Camaro, but this is just wire loom that comes from Summit, and it's like $8 to $10 a piece. But another thing I did I thought was kind of trick, and you know, in my own little cheap brain. So this, in order for it to basically stay harnessed here, there's wire connectors and stuff you can get like this, which those are gonna be the ones that go across the top, which those are GM connectors. But I actually used let's see if I can find one real quick. I don't see one off the top of my head. There you go. So I used a butt splice or one of the little roundel. So I use one of these guys, which is the spent ones that I've cut off the car. I used a larger one of these and on this screw right here, and that is what's holding that. I put the So I used one of these guys on this screw right here that's holding the top of the condenser heater, whatever this is called, battleship thing that comes off the firewall. I used that on this screw right here, and that's what the zip tie is going through. So that's holding that nice and firm. That'll be retained really well. And then we got that wire. I just cleaned up most of it. I'm not going to worry about that other little bit because it's going into a fitting that goes into the back of the HVAC unit. But yeah, so we're cleaned up as much of this as possible, just trying to make it just not as disgusting looking. And so like I said before, here's one of the wires that goes to the alternator. And as you can see, these are quality connections. Yeah, so that's, I haven't touched anything. I just pulled the black tape off that earlier today. And look how disgusting that is. And one of the other ones is just as bad. Let me see if I can find it over here. Yeah, they're awful. I think I might already cut them off, but yeah, I cut them off. But like, yeah, there you can kind of see what the wires look like. And that was under the GM wiring harness. And then this wire was just in there with it. I don't know what this wire, it goes to the, I'll have to find a diagram. It goes to the bulkhead. Let me grab my light. So I'll have to figure out what this wire exactly does. It goes to the bulkhead, but it was just some random wire. And the truck obviously ran without this wire. So, and it operated totally fine. So that was powering something at some point, and it's no longer doing that. So we may have to just cut this out or put a splice on it or something like that, and forego it. But yeah, so this is going to the distribution block. That was the alternator wire that was going to it. So that was to the alternator wire from the distribution block. This, I believe, is an ignition wire, and this was going down there too. So that's the ignition wire from that goes to the starter, and then it comes back up. So that's the excite wire, I'm pretty certain. And then this guy, okay, so that's the alternator connection right there. And then this one is the other to the distribution block. So those two are actually together under there. So I just mark those, that way we know which ones they are when I'm not messing with it. I don't kind of forget things. But yeah, so, and I believe this one's the excite wire. We'll check through, and before we start really running wires, I'll hook up the battery and we'll start kind of testing and just seeing what all does what. And I know we'll have to put some power, kind of like jury rig some power lines and stuff like that, just to confirm before we make things similar to that, just make things nice. We know exactly which ones are there, unless I can find a wiring diagram that tells me 100% certain that these do what I think they do. But yeah, so then I also ordered from Summit some parts. One of them is going to be a fitting that's going to go around here. Right, it's going to go over that, which is a pretty cool fitting. That way you don't have to cut any wires or like unplug anything and run things through like how you normally have to do with normal bulkhead fittings through the firewall. This one's a self-tapper setup. So you put self-tappers in, you know, around where the hole is and drill them in, and basically you just automatically have a bulkhead fitting that's a rubber grommet essentially. So makes it a lot cleaner than just a bare hole or, you know, putting silicone in that, because I've done that before too. So yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing with that. It should be pretty simple going through all this. I got rid of the speedometer cable that was going to the cruise control setup that was up here. I also got rid of the two wires that were going to it, so that's all gone. So that's positive. So just getting rid of more and more things as we go. But yeah, so when we get that other stuff, I will start working more and we'll start kind of getting back into it. I'll probably do a little bit more tomorrow. I gotta edit some stuff and work a little bit more tonight. But yeah, so we'll mess with a little bit more tomorrow. Maybe try to get those wires and stuff done, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I have no idea where I left off or anything. I'll probably just do wiring in the hurt. But I finally got this guy. And this is the new heater thing that needs to go in there. Got in right now. I'm gonna put this like this one because I bought this one. And if you notice, another square body thing, but it's useless to me as of right now. I'll keep it just because it's a good new switch, so if we ever need, you know, that one time in 10 years where it's like, we need a heater fan switch, and I go, oh, I have one. That's what that one's gonna be. Because my brain's gonna like work back to here, and the dirt's gonna like come off the clogs in the back of my brain and go, oh, I remember. But so with that being said, those are the same. So that is a positive, and that can go right in right now. So we're gonna just kind of like will this into existence. Now I'm probably have to actually do this. Bam! And I guess the most important part, the switches. Bam! Yeah, buddy. And I guess the important thing is the switch switches. It's functional, which is always a plus when you do something like this. I was like, it's 50-50 whether or not it goes like this or it matters, but it seems like that's probably correct because it has the right throw right there. So now it's time to put that in, and then all this can get mounted back up. So that's exciting. We're gonna pretend like we didn't see that and just kind of like, it's fine. We don't really, none of that really works. Never really did. Oh, because it's not even freaking, it's fine. Alright, well that's pretty much in right there on this side at least. I gotta get that side screwed in, and then the gauge cluster can go in. You may be going, yours is so cracked and crappy, why are you putting it back in? Well, one, these are like a couple $100 to buy new, so I'm like, I'm not gonna do that right now. I'm not gonna deal with that. Two, what I'm planning on doing, if you see these little Velcro thingamajiggers on it, that means this used to have a dash pad on it at some point. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to order a dash pad here very soon for it. And that'll essentially make the, I mean, it'll make it look almost brand new. That way it pretty much eliminates having to look at all of that, essentially. So that'll make this look much better, like almost immediately like that. So we'll get that in, get the gauge cluster back in, get, you know, this stuff cleaned up, and I'm going to look for a carpet kit somewhere. So the cheapest carpet kits I can find, and maybe kick panel crap too, because that one sucks. So that's what we're doing, and that's kind of why I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. This isn't, you know, concourse restoration truck at all in any means. So if we get to that point, then I'll like, okay, let's get a new dash pad. Let's make this actually really nice. But until then, you know, I still don't have a you know, radiator, or wow. I mean, I still don't have a radio that goes in where the radio is supposed to go, so it's not obviously a concourse restoration truck right now by any means. But yeah, so I'm going to set you back down right here. Back to time lapse. dash is back in, and the best part is, this hunk of junk is no longer in the center of that, and ruins my whole entire look of, you know, 80s feng shui in here. Because this thing's a hunk of junk. I mean, if you want it, let me know, and I'll, you know, send it to you for price of, you know, a box. But yeah, so we got that back in. I'm just gonna have to kind of settle up a few more screws and stuff on the back side, so that way this stays nice and firm on the back side, and then we'll get the dash mat in here and it should be good to go. But I'll just have to put the glove box back in, ashtray and some other things just to make sure everything's good. But theoretically, all this is hooked up the way it needs to be, and it is ready to rock and roll. Now I just have to do a bunch of wiring underneath the dash, and I mean underneath the hood. Yay! That is so much nicer than it was. For those of you that didn't know, I put window seals in this side and that side, and I don't think I've done it in the back yet, but I did the window seals, and after I did that, I could not for the life of me. This, like, there's a reason why it's kind of loose and chunkered, because it was so hard to roll this down. I had to, like, force the window down. But I WD-40'd literally everything, and you might still see remnants in there, but I, like, stuck the gun, you know, in there, and I just hosed. That's why there's some little residue on the windshield, or on the glass, but I just soaked this entire mechanism without tearing it apart, because I did not want to take this apart. So yeah, so that's that. But yeah, we should be good with that. I just gotta get, I think everything else is probably good to roll. Let's push this all back. This just needs to go there. That goes, you know, there, like, sort of. That's fine. There we go. Okay, so I've been working on the Camaro for like the last little bit, and it runs and it's ready to drive. I just need a dipstick for the transmission, which kills me. So I'm going to be trying to slam this thing together because I want something to run and I want to be happy. So I'm going to literally just try to slam this thing together like in the next hour, because it's not that many things I need to get done, I don't think. I want to drive my truck. So we're going to see how far I can get tonight. I'm probably going to hook up the battery wire right now and see what all kind of works. And then we're going to go from there. So I have a few wires that I need to try to decipher where they go, and it's kind of hard to just see what all old wiring and stock wiring and modern updated wiring looks like on this thing. So when someone decided to go through and, you know, fix things, quote unquote, I have to figure out what all they fixed and where things go. So, like, for starters, there's no purple wire anywhere in the harness that goes to the starter, so we have to figure where that goes. So I home run the wire from the battery to the alternator, so that's good. And there's a wire that goes off to accessory, so all that should be wired the way it needs to be factory. And I fixed whatever the hell they did down there. So now I'm just basically, I need to put a wire on the right post on the starter, and then I'm going to hook up the 12 volts, and then we're basically just going to see what all is powered and what we need to kind of change and update and go from there. So that's what I'm going to do. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of it because the GoPro's dead and this is on my phone, so bear with me. Okay, what all has power? Nothing. Not a daggum thing has power. Alright, well. I vaguely remember this being a thing when we pulled all that apart, because it was like... So we know we have power from here, down there. That's grounded. I'm going to put a fuse in this guy. Let's put a fuse in that guy, and then we'll go from there. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Ready? 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 Woohoo! It Ready? And watch this. Lights are ubery dubery bright compared to what they were. I don't know if you can hear it. We have different modes of fan. 1, 2, 3, 4. They all work. They're all working. Those lights are working. These lights are working. Everything's like prime. We had to mess with that. That's weird. But that's probably tuning from the fact everything was shorting out before. What a good truck. Spare key. How cool is that? I smell like there's like fuel smell. Like raw fuel smell somewhere. It's not leaking anywhere, is it? I don't think so. Pardon that part. Oh, maybe that. What's that? That is fuel. Why? Where is it leaking from? I hope that didn't crack. And can I turn my light? There we go. Like all of those are wet. Now it could be that top one maybe. I don't want to have to replace that thing again. Let me grab a screwdriver. Alright. Fingers crossed these are just loose and it didn't like freeze or something stupid. Okay, we got some on that one. I don't think this one's an issue, but okay, well this is giving me hope as I slice one of the fuel lines and then I just start crying. That one wet? That looks wet. We can't have worse gas mileage than the dually. It doesn't need any help. As I just stripped this. Did I really just strip that? Yep. That's freaking awesome. Well, that was probably the guy right there, just gave out. Stupid Chinesium hose clamps. You just can't put a hunkern on them like you can with like ones made in the 70s. Like, if you find an old car with a whole bunch of hose clamps on them, just take all the hose clamps off. They'll work better than new ones you buy online. Like, if you buy a new kit of them online, like most of these, 'cause you can tell most of these are like random hose clamps I've had or found, or and this one looks like an old, like a newer one. Figures. Let me replace this guy real quick, and hopefully that's the fuel leak that we have, and we can just keep on trucking with fixing wiring and finish up everything, because I want to drive this thing. I haven't driven this truck in months and I miss it. The S15 is fine and all, but I like this truck way more. Yep, there you go. That's where it decided to say see you later. Always something. Alright. right, I still have to like clean up inside here and get in some other and like actually detail the truck, but I wanted to roll. Actually, key's already in it. Spare. Go spare key. Wow. That's weird. Hang on. Where's my controller? Okay. I'm gonna check the battery. That's weird. That's a whole lot of voltage. Like, is the battery that dead? Hang on, I'm gonna set you down for a second. Wow. I think something weird. I'm gonna shut this off. Alright, well, I fixed my issue. So the wire that I home run from here around yesterday, it was causing issues somewhere. So I ended up jumping this wire back to the alternator itself right here, and ta-da! Now it's charging the way it needs to, and all is good with the world. Woohoo! So now I can get the truck backed out, and then I can clean up in here, and then we can start. And once it's all cleaned up again, I can start putting the stereo stuff in. I was gonna try to jump and do that today, but I don't have any way of playing music through that amplifier because it's through an aux cord, and I ordered an aux cord, or I ordered like a Bluetooth head for it, so that should make it a little bit better. But yeah, I'm stoked. That's really good. outside again. Woo-hoo! I think there's some EFI bugs I have to go troubleshoot through, and we'll do the wiring stuff and we'll get a whole bunch of that stuff rocking, rolling in the truck very soon. But with that being said, I can honestly make this video go on forever. And I don't want to do that because you guys are probably going to get bored of that. And I've been doing a lot of wiring stuff. We finally got it out of the shop. There's an open bay again, which is awesome. Granted, it's probably going to go back in that same bay. But I can actually clean up stuff. We can make it nice and workable again instead of what it is right now and just disgusting. So, but yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. Check back in on that very soon. Check back in on that. We'll put stereo stuff in that. Finish up FI Tech tuning, wiring stuff on that. And then get this rock and rolling, ready for car show season. Yeah. So that being said, I'll see you guys later. Be sure to follow along with all this stuff. I'll check back in with you guys later.
She fakes me a kiss and